the number one thing keeping you from pursuing and actually achieving your dreams, living out your dreams, having a better marriage, losing weight, going to the whatever it is, the number one thing keeping most people from achieving what they're supposed to do. We're going to talk about that one thing and so much more. Hey, what did you think about the conversation I had in the last episode with Lieutenant Colonel Deb Grossman? I hope you enjoyed that. What a dear friend. We are excited about the release of Bulletproof Family releasing in May of 2026. And I hope you'll check it out. I hope you'll support it. But what a great conversation. If you didn't get a chance, go back and listen to that. Episode 2, Season 2 of The Adam Davis Show. Thank you so much for your support. This has been a point of most resistance, the most resistance I've faced in a long time doing anything has been launching this season and moving forward. I don't know why. I think it's the one thing we're going to talk about today, the one thing that I mentioned earlier. I look around and I see the corruption and the fraud and the billions and billions of dollars in taxpayer money that's going out for fraud. I mean, it's supporting illegal individuals that are in our country illegally. And I see that. And then I see um, the young lady who was ambushed and murdered in D.C. I see what you see. I see all the things going on. I see our priorities are so screwed up, and I see people fussing about stuff on social media, but that's about all most people do is just complain about it on social media without taking action in prayer or letting their voice be heard in town square. Uh, what are we becoming as a country? What are we becoming? I'll tell you what we're going to become if something doesn't change. If people aren't held accountable, is we're going to become like a third world country. There's still hope for our country, but it's going to require good people to let their voices be heard. Why do most Christians live a life of silence in terms of letting their faith be known? Why do most good people not run for office that should run for office? Why do people who want to, I've got a book here I want to share with you from a friend of mine today. Why do people who have a dream of writing a book or starting a business, why do they never start? It's pretty common denominator in all of these things. And the reason I mention the stuff we see going on in the country and around the world really, but focus on what's going on here in America, is because those things are contributing factors to this one common denominator. Why good people stay silent, why good people don't run for office, why good people stay in the shadows. And it's fear. It's fear. Fear keeps us from starting the podcast. Fear keeps us from writing the book. Fear keeps us from saying, I'm sorry, will you forgive me? I was wrong. Fear keeps us in a place where our ego runs the show and we have no room to grow. And I don't know about you, but I don't want my life to be lived and defined by fear. Here's what I've learned the hard way, is that if you make decisions out of fear or panic, they are most of the time going to be the wrong decisions. Decisions made based on emotion, period, are going to be wrong, but those especially made out of fear or panic are seldom good decisions. Fear is a good self-preserving tool. It keeps us from doing really, really stupid things. But when it becomes the rudder of our ship, so to speak, it can lead us down a really dark path. And it quickly becomes our master, becomes our ruler. And we've heard the cliches, faith and fear can't coexist, and let your faith be bigger than your fear. But how? How do we overcome fear? By action. Don't overthink the next step you know you're supposed to take. For authors, it's writing the first paragraph. It's for artists, it's putting the first painting on the canvas. For musicians, it's hitting the first note. For you, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's taking that first step, whatever that first step is. In September of 2015, I took the first, well, actually, it was earlier in 2015, I took the first step in pursuing what I felt strongly compelled to do, and that was writing my first book. And there was a lot of fear around that. And that felt, doing this YouTube channel, doing this show has felt very similar to how I felt before I took that first step. And I think a lot of times we don't do certain things. We don't pursue our goals. We don't pursue our dreams. We don't pursue the starting the business or whatever it is, because we're worried about what other people are going to think about us. We're worried about criticism or haters. And the reality is, if you got haters, that's a good thing. It means you're doing something. And let your haters become your marketing team. They'll tell everybody about you for free. They'll mock you and scoff at what you're doing. Won't cost you a dime for them to share that with their friends and say, look at what this guy's doing. He thinks he's really something, or she thinks she's doing something. Who gives a crap what people think? And the reality is, most of the time they're not thinking about you because they're so focused on themselves. And sometimes it's because they're self-centered, and sometimes it's just because they're buried in their own troubles and they don't know a way out. They're ruled by fear. They're ruled by fear. I think about what's going on in Minnesota right now, and the tens of thousands of Somalians that have, they're saying now it could be upwards of $8 billion in fraud in Minnesota, just in Minnesota. We're not talking about the fraud in the SNAP or EBT program across the country. That's just Minnesota. How much taxpayer waste has been given, arguably, to illegal immigrants, or possibly lining the pockets of these corrupt NGOs or these other organizations that are in the background causing a lot of the issues you see going on in the public today. Would a Democrat even be elected in the state of Minnesota if there weren't 80,000 Somalians there? It's just odd. It's really, and I think it's evil. It's rooted in evil. The murder of that young lady in D.C., pure evil, pure evil. And there's a number of things that people have said that it's disturbing. It's disturbing. Here, pull this number up here. What's really disheartening for me is I talk to people all over the country. This is a way for me to get my voice out. This is a way for me to let my opinions be heard, to let my beliefs, to share my beliefs, to encourage, to uplift. But also, let's talk about the reality of crap that's going on in our country, because if we don't, our children are going to deal with the cost of it. They're going to deal with the cost of it anyway. They're still going to deal with the cost of what's going on in our country. This is a generational problem. It's a generational problem. And it doesn't seem like, it seems like the only side that's united is the one that hates. They hate Americans. And then the other side, they can't unite for a single thing. And neither side can unite on anything unless it's something that's taking away liberties from Americans or costing us more money. They can never agree on anything that's going to truly benefit Americans as a whole. But you put something down that's for, that's going to line their pockets. Well, yeah, they can come together on that. They'll pass that in a heartbeat. How do you get in office? How do you get elected and not genuinely care about the people who put you there? Why would you give a damn about an illegal immigrant more than you cared about American citizens who voted you into office? Because they're a pawn in your scheme to line your own dadgum pockets. That's why. And there's zero accountability so far. We can get on X, we can get on social media, we can get on YouTube, get on TV, on Fox, you can get on all the channels and talk about it, but nothing's been done to any one of these people who have committed crazy, crazy atrocities against our country. The fraud goes on, no accountability, none whatsoever. But you miss a $600 report to the IRS from your Venmo, and you better look out. Democrats are untouchable because Republicans are not united. The country's not united. We're more polarized and divided now than we've ever been, and we can't agree on anything for the greater good of the people of this country. I guess fear is the root cause of why people give in to the evil that runs this world. I want to share something with you. A dear friend of mine has written, and he is a former law enforcement officer. He's a chaplain, been a police chaplain for a very, very, very long time. He's been a pastor. He oversees a group of churches called the Hope Fellowship. It is probably the most effective tool on teaching outreach for the body of Christ around the world. But let's focus on America. We got enough problems right now in our country. It's called One Heart at a Time. It's on Amazon by Mac Ballard. I'll try to throw a graphic up here if I can figure out how to do it. But One Heart at a Time by Mac Ballard. If you are a pastor, if you're a ministry leader, if you are interested in how to improve, evangelism and outreach in your community, or just personally, this is not just for churches. If you're wanting to learn how to be more effective in your personal outreach to tell others about Jesus and those conversations, then this is probably the best tool. And here's the fact. It's effective. It's super, super, super simple to read and implement. And I highly recommend One Heart at a Time by Mac Ballard. And if you haven't got a copy, go get a copy, go support what he's doing, and let him know you heard about it right here on the Adam Davis Show. So what can we do? What can we do about the state of our country? It's a hard issue. It's a hard issue. And there's no policy. You can't legislate morality. You can't legislate holiness. You can't legislate goodness. This is a matter of the heart. Now, there's certain things I think that could be done. When people start being held accountable for billions of dollars worth of fraud, when people start being held accountable swiftly for murdering American troops on American soil, I think that goes a long way. However, when we see no accountability for the evil that's taken place in our country, how many terrorists have been allowed in our country? Do you know what's coming if it slips through the hands of law enforcement, if they don't catch it? And it's not that they're not doing their job. They're doing their job the best they can. But what happens if it slips through the cracks? There's a number of pieces of intel out there about what they're plotting and what they're planning. And they know the weak points in our security systems and national security. They know the weak points in TSA and the airlines and other infrastructure across our country. Does it take another 9/11 type event to unite Americans? I don't understand it. Maybe it's not my place to understand. I think I get the root of it. The root of it is purely we live in a fallen world. We live in a fallen world ran by the evil one himself. U.S. Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom shot and killed in an ambush attack in Washington, D.C. I read a post from her father, and it breaks my heart. I think, number one, that individual was allowed to come into our country from a previous administration. He was allowed to come into our country largely unvetted. There's nothing we could ever do to make that right for him. There's nothing we could ever do to make that better. We could pray for God to comfort him and the family. But you go and I read the post. I shared it back on November 28th. He said, "My baby girl has passed to glory. If I don't talk to you, don't be offended. This has been a horrible tragedy." And I, of course, went down a rabbit trail and saw pictures of him and his daughter when she was younger, I guess before she enlisted. Why would we willingly invite people we know hate our way of life into our country? Because there's a more sinister plan? Sounds like a conspiracy theory. I don't know. But the good, the righteous, they can't just sit back in the shadows and be silent. None of us can. You can't depend on a few influencers to be the voice of the many. Do I believe that we need IDs to vote? Well, I have to have an ID to get on an airplane. I have to have an ID to get a concealed carry permit. I have to have an ID to do pretty much anything. If I want to cash a check at the bank, I have to show an ID. Why would we not? Why are we arguing over that? Common sense here. Just pure common sense. Why is there even a disagreement or discussion over having to show your identification at a uniform level across the country? wherever you're voting, whatever state you're voting in, whatever parish, whatever county, whatever. Why is that even up for discussion? Because one party has figured out how to win every election in the future. So your voice for real never matters again. Because who do you think an illegal immigrant getting a free check, a free phone, or free housing, or free food, who do you think they're going to vote for? The one who made it possible for them to get in. And if you think for a moment that they're seeking refuge in America, sure, there are people who are seeking refuge or asylum. I don't dismiss that completely. But the vast number of them are here to take advantage of what is for free that you and I are paying for. And fear keeps the good and righteous silent. It keeps the good voices of hardworking Americans silent. Sure, they'll sit around the dinner table or they'll stand around the water cooler and they'll complain about paying nearly 50% in taxes. They'll complain about having to pay taxes on what they buy, what they sell, what they make when they die. They'll complain about it, but there's never really anything done about it. They don't let their voice be heard. They're not showing up at a commission meeting. They're not calling their representatives. They're not sending emails. They're not becoming active in their community or in the politics. They're not letting their voice be heard because they feel better when they post about it or complain about it, even though there's really nothing being done about it. Personally, I'm thankful there's some sort of activity being taken place to make things right for American citizens. For American citizens. That means if you were born here or if you came here legally, the lawful way, and became an American citizen, you are the beneficiary of the good things to come. That's the way I think it should be. Should we make room for people who are seeking asylum and seeking refuge from a war-torn country? Absolutely. Absolutely. But there has to be boundaries. And if boundaries aren't enforced, they're no good. That goes for you personally, for me too. If we have boundaries but don't enforce them, then it's no good. It's a waste. It's an absolute waste. Men in America have to take the reins, to take the responsibility to no longer be docile and satisfied with comforting entertainment, to surrender the addiction of comfort and to let their voices be heard. To stand up and say, you're a man and you're not going to the bathroom with my daughter or my wife or somebody else's wife or daughter for that matter. I'm not going to stand by and watch you beat on another person, a woman or child. What do we got to do? Like really, the testosterone crisis in America. Is it like that around the world? Is it an issue? Is it a grave issue around the world like it is here in the United States? Or are they just trying to kill all of us? They show that since I think the 70s, the drop in testosterone in men has drastically increased. Is it the foods? Is it the plastics? Is it the water? Is it the medication? I mean, what is the root cause of these things? You see, we're more satisfied with arguing with someone about the issue instead of looking for the facts and the truth in the matter. We're happy to be made docile, to be made servitudes to a way of comfort instead of fighting back, because we don't want confrontation. We don't want to deal with the fear that rules our lives. I will not be silenced by the left. I will not be silenced by any other group that hates me for the faith that I stand on, for the fact that I love the American flag and my country. I will not be silenced. And that should be your mindset, is that you will no longer allow fear to hold you back from sharing the truth, from seeking the truth, and from walking in it. What would happen today if 1 million men in our country started letting their voices be heard? Not on Facebook. That's good. That's great. But you're not making any progress. There's only so much a president can do. There's only so much Congress can do until they hear where you stand on it. Let them know. that no more illegal immigrants should be given a free ride in our country. The most successful people I know in our country started from nothing and worked for everything they've got in their life. They've sacrificed. My dad has been in business 45 years, mid 60s, still working to this day. Works every day. And I know countless people around the country. And then you find out, like the veteran I saw recently, there was a fundraiser for him. He lost his entire retirement, 88-year-old veteran. All of his retirement was taken away. Thankfully, there's some good Americans who stood up and raised money to help make things right for him. I think it was a $1.5 million gift they were able to give him through a collaborative effort. These men and women, our veterans, our first responders, our nurses, our teachers, not the teachers that indoctrinate children with leftist evil propaganda, but the good ones, the good cops, the good first responders. I think we could all preface everything, the good preachers, the good doctors, everything. We seek the good in. But the hardworking Americans who are the backbone of our country, who punch a clock in the factory to make the cars, to produce the foods in the fields for the farmers, whoever, the ones who are making the country run, their lives are the ones that should be made easier, not illegals. Have less sympathy for criminals who harm innocent individuals and have more compassion for those who keep our country running. And stop letting fear keep you from making the right decision, from keeping you from letting your voice be heard, from taking action. Even if that action is, hey, we're going to create a prayer group in our community today. We're going to start a prayer group and we're going to meet every single week, or we're going to do it online. We're going to meet virtually. Whatever that is, hey, I'm going to adopt a prayer group to pray for first responders, for farmers, for industrial workers, for whatever. Do something instead of just sit around and complain about it. Stop letting fear rule your life. Recently, I was invited down to a law enforcement event in Mar-a-Lago and met some wonderful people there and had some wonderful conversations. And it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Hopefully, I'll get invited back, but we'll see. Some of the people that I met were former law enforcement, former SWAT operators, businessmen, veterans. And what I've learned is that, yeah, you know what? We may have differing opinions on certain things, but we're willing to come together for the greater, for the benefit of the whole group, for everyone. Just because we love the flag doesn't mean we believe the same way in terms of our faith or our philosophies on various business subjects or whatever. It's okay to disagree, but there again, fear keeps us from having hard conversations that lead us to more rich, more healthy relationships. And it certainly keeps us from pursuing and achieving our goals and dreams. It keeps us from growing. If you're living in fear, you're dying. You're dying more rapidly than anyone else because you're not really living. So one thing you can do, one thing everybody in our country can do starting right now is pray individually, to take a step and pray collectively, or start your own initiative in your community and pray for these big issues that our country is dealing with and we're facing. Come together and unite and pray for these big issues that our country's facing. Because if we don't, if we do it based on our own intellect, we're going to fail. If we do nothing, we're going to fail. So start with prayer, fervent, earnest prayer, individually, collectively. Meet online, meet in person, do what you got to do. But pray that God would sweep across this country again and wake us up. We need a wake-up call. We need a wake-up call. Pray that all of the corruption, and there's so much, pray that the corruption in D.C., pray for the corruption in all other parts of our country, for it to be exposed and dealt with swiftly. And for those people who are at the root of it to be held accountable. Pray that the terrorists who have been given a welcome mat into our country, pray that they are found before they can do any harm to our people. Pray that they're dealt with swiftly. and pray for God to give us direction, because He will. He will. We can't do this in our own power. We can't do this in our own might. Only by the Spirit of God alone will we prevail in this land. Because I have a sneaky suspicion that maybe it's not just the left that hates our country. Maybe it's foreign actors, foreign adversaries who hate our land, who recognize an open door where they could create a voice of influence and wreak havoc and create division within a particular political party. Will you join me in praying for our country? Will you join me in gathering others to do the same thing? I think it's time. From coast to coast, from New York to LA, from Seattle to South Alabama, South Florida, from wherever you are, let your voice be heard in heaven, because this is not just an American thing. This is a spiritual battle. And I don't want our generation to be the one who everybody looks back on in 20 years, 50 years, 100 years and says they're the ones that let it fall because they just didn't care. They gave up. They quit. Is that going to be your legacy? Or will faith be the spark that creates a movement across our land? I hope you'll support my friend, One Heart at a Time, Mac Ballard. Check it out on Amazon. I appreciate you. We can do something. We can do something good. We can turn this country around. And it's not going to be up to a politician. It's not even going to be up to our president. It's going to be Americans collectively uniting, despite our differences, in the face of evil. We unite under the banner of our flag, but more importantly, our faith. A faith that we have a better tomorrow, that our children can have a better future, and that fear doesn't win, and evil will have no rule over us, and terror will be defeated. I appreciate you watching today. Will you do me a favor and share this with a friend? Like, subscribe. I need all the help I can get. I'm just getting started. It wouldn't hurt you a bit to help me out. So just hit that subscribe button. It probably would help me learn how to speak. I appreciate your support. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening wherever you listen from today. What is one way that I can pray for you? How could we help each other? What can I do for you? If you're looking to write a book, that's been a call on your heart, send me an email. I may have something for you. Adam@theadamdavis.com. If you're looking for a speaker for your next event, I'm booking for 2026. I've got several dates already blocked off, and I'm excited for where I'm headed and for the wonderful people I get to meet in 2026. It's Christmas season. Be present in the moment. Be present in the moment and love people well. Again, thank you so much for watching. If I can do anything for you, send me an email, Adam@theadamdavis.com. God bless you, and God bless our country. Bye-bye.